And we are back on Home Track Heroes. We've got just enough time to get down to the Angel of the Winds podium for the top three in our Youth Hornet division with Greg.
Chevy, it seems like you have a couple of fans out there tonight.
Yeah, I got my mom and dad and a bunch of other people here.
Awesome. Well, they got to see you win tonight's main event for the Youth Hornets. That was a pretty exciting race. You were able to hold off Dakota at the very end. How did it feel?
It felt really good, but I started to get nervous when there was a lap to go because every time I would come across 3 and 4 towards the end, it would just slide when I would give a gas, so it was kind of hard to control.
So, Chevy, it's your brother's birthday tonight. Are you going to give him the trophy?
Yeah, he's going to have it in his room.
So, Dakota, you won the heat race earlier tonight, and that was one of the most exciting finishes I think we saw. Coming down the front stretch, you were so darn close, but a great race overall.
I almost had him going into 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I catch him on the corners, but he just pulls away on the front stretch. That was a close race, and it was a good one.
It was a great race by you, Dakota. Who do you need to thank for being out here tonight?
The Wishmans in the 98 truck, my family and friends for coming out, and LB Motorsports and the whole 32 team.
So, Paisley, first off, I want you to tell everybody out here how old you are.
12.
12 years old. Paisley, you had a great race, a little bit of early trouble early on, but you did a great job to avoid it. Tell us how much fun you had out here tonight.
I had a lot of fun, and yeah.
Paisley, who do you need to thank for being out at the racetrack?
I'd like to thank JBR, Joe's Racing Products, Cox Wheels Racing, Image Auto Body, my mom, my dad, my sister, my aunt, my uncle, and Mike Marshall.
All right, we'll take it back upstairs for a few seconds to get our first race of 2021 for our Northwest Pro 4 trucks who call Evergreen Speedway their home. And this is Greg's personal favorite time because he finally gets to straighten up after talking to those short people on the Angel of the Winds grandstand. All right, as we mentioned, Northwest Pro 4 trucks coming up. Pretty good field, and let's bring them to you. Greg, you've got the first of them.
All right, so we have the pole position, the 35 from Tony V's Garage. Haley Wilkinson. On the outside of Haley is the 6 of Aaron Green. In the second row, it's the 8 of Shane Green. And on the outside of Shane, it's the 4 of Pete Brady from OK Produce. The third row is the 98 of Christopher Wisman. On the outside of Christopher is the 22 of Jason Majors from Mary Asplin with Skyline Properties.
In row number 4, the 52 of Jeremy Pratt. Jeremy's brought to you by Twisted Metal Off-Road. Outside of Pratt is the 24. Wilkinson Racing entry driven by McKenna Cox tonight. Then we go back to Brooklyn Bender in the 18, brought to you by J2Racing.Parts. In the 21, Nick Nicholson Jr., sponsored by Nick's Fences. Rounding out the field in number 83, brought to you by Hat Trick Northwest. It is Michael Vaughn. And again, like we mentioned, the first time in 2021, these guys have been on the 3/8 mile track here at Evergreen Speedway. I think it's their debut race for 2021. These guys travel a bit. They really like racing over at Wenatchee Valley Super Oval, but they call Evergreen Speedway their home track, and it's because a lot of them are from around here. The Wilkinson family is really deeply involved in this. You don't see it so much tonight, but sometimes Wilkinsons will have 2 or 3 trucks in this. So here we go. They are getting looked over, and they are underway. And these guys and gals really get wound up. And when they get wound up, they are fast.
Yeah, and like you said, Steve, I was really excited to see the trucks because they were rained out a couple of weeks ago, but having them back here on Saturday night for such a beautiful night, it was great to see them. So really excited for the 30 laps for these Northwest Pro 4 trucks as we see Haley Wilkinson in the 35 with the early lead, but there goes the 6 of Aaron Green to the outside as they go out of turn number 1 into turn 2 and down the backstretch. We have multiple people with the last name of Green, so that was kind of fun to watch too.
Yeah, that's a family out of the Lake Stevens area that have been behind this series as we see the first caution with Michael Vaughn in the number 83, and we'll get a couple of different shots of that one, and then we'll kind of continue on with the rest of the race. But, obviously nobody got into him. It's just one of those deals where he may not have judged that corner. They've had a fair amount of time to practice, but when push comes to shove and main event starts, that's a lot of pressure for some of these people. And, you're going a little bit faster than you anticipate.
Yeah, and like you said, there was no issues with the track. It was a beautiful day, so didn't look like much. Just a little bit hair off going into turn number 3, and enough to go into the infield there, just on the low side of turn number 3. So hopefully to see the 83 of Michael Vaughn be back out there for looks like about 28 laps remaining in this Pro 4 Northwest trucks.
Yeah, and there's quite a few trucks that I'll point out to you when we get back on the screen. This segment I want to mention to you is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 191 in Everett. They are the National Electrical Contractors Association, Cascade chapter in Mount Vernon, and they're powering our communities with union members earning more money, have better benefits, and greater job security. Thanks to IBEW and NECA for their support. All right, we are back underway. The cars or trucks, there's $1 in the bucket, to keep an eye on are some of the past champions in this division. Doug Wilkinson, who's won several championships over the years, was not at racing his truck tonight. He was racing his figure 8 car over in Wenatchee, so we were down that. But Jason Majors in the 22 has been a standout in this. You can see him just coming at the bottom of your screen right now as we see the 52 of Jeremy Pratt go around and just get a little bit of a slap by the 21 of Nick Nicholson Jr., who's also been in this course. And the thing I really like, and we'll get into that here, is see a couple of replays of that. The 52 of Pratt coming in and gets turned, and then boof, right there it is. The 21 of Nick Nicholson Jr. gets into him, and sometimes there's just no place to go.
Yeah, and it looked like the 21 of Nick Nicholson Jr. was kind of wondering to go outside or to inside, and kind of ended up going right down the middle, and unfortunately ran right into the 52 of Jeremy Pratt. So you see quite a bit of front end damage there on the left front side, but not a great early position to be in for the 21 of Nick Nicholson Jr. or the 52 of Jeremy Pratt, as we're still early on in this race.
Yeah, and a nice job by McKenna Cox to avoid some damage in her number 24 Wilkinson racing truck. I am really super impressed with the quality of the trucks that they presented to us out here for their first night. And that's not to say that the presentation that they put on as far as how the trucks look has been subject to discussion. It hasn't been, but they have really put a lot of effort into making these things look as good as they run.
Yeah, all the trucks look really sharp out there on Saturday, and like you said, it's almost like that pride in ownership and that pride in racing that they had. It was everybody went to the car wash before they came to the racetrack, but they all looked really good.
All right, let's get them lined back up behind our Speedway Chevrolet, Evergreen Speedway Camaro, and we'll get this thing back underway. 30 laps are going to make up this main event, and I know they've kind of had trouble getting her going, but Haley Wilkinson in her number 35 is there. Aaron Green, like we mentioned, and Shane Green, the family out of Lake Stevens, have been with this series for as long as they've been calling Evergreen Speedway home. Pete Brady is another interesting guy, too, in that number 4 truck. Looking at the notes, he comes over from, I want to say he's down in the Tacoma area. I might be wrong, but he's won a couple of championships in this thing over the years, and he always puts on a good show. So back underway, Haley Wilkinson taking it into turn number 2. Things starting to slide around a little bit as they get tire pressures built up. Yes, that does apply to this style of racing, and those first laps are always kind of dicey until they get comfortable and things get warmed up.
Yeah, and like you said, look at that number 22 truck. That's Jason Majors.
See that move?
Making a great move, and then going to the low side of the 6 of Aaron Green down the backstretch, now jumping all the way up into the second spot. And I think, I'm not exactly sure, but I think that was Popeye on the side of that 22 car.
That's one of his sponsors.
22 truck. So, a little extra can of spinach for the 22 of Jason Majors, and now all of a sudden out in first as they go around turn number 2 with 27 laps remaining down the backstretch.
Yeah, he's had Popeye's energy on the side of that truck for years and years, and they've been really good combination. And Jason Majors always brings out just solid equipment, and even he runs a lot in the Outlaw Mini Stock Series out of Eastern Washington. He'll go out. He's got a Ford Mustang that just cleans up in that series too. But he's always a favorite. Loves Evergreen Speedway because he feels that this size of a track, 3/8, is just absolutely perfect for these type of trucks.
And look at the 98 of Christopher Wisman passing. You were talking earlier about Pete Brady, and it looks like there's an issue there with the Ford truck as he comes around out of turn number 2 and heading slowly down the backstretch. But almost sensing those issues coming up. The 98 of Christopher Wisman had a wonderful move to go to the outside down the front stretch, hopping up into third. But right now you see it's all the 22 of Jason Majors, as we're still 24 laps remaining on this Northwest Pro 4 trucks.
You got to hand Pete Brady a couple of attaboys for taking that access road and not causing a caution to come out, and that comes from experience. And Pete Brady's got a ton of experience here at Evergreen Speedway in these trucks. And good job, Pete. Proud of you for doing that. Meanwhile, stinking up the show, Jason Majors in the number 22 now, out by about a 10 truck length lead. Haley Wilkinson hanging in there in that number 2 position. Chris Wisman in that number 98 truck continues to go forward with 22 laps to go, and it's just all Jason Majors so far.
You know, and it was kind of fun to watch the 4th and 5th place battle, especially at this point of the race, because you see in 4th right now you have the 6 truck of Aaron Green, and in 5th you have the 8 truck of Shane Green. So to watch those two kind of go back and forth, there was a wonderful battle going on for 4th place at that point of the race. And so kind of fun to see the 2 Greens battling out for 4th as they're kind of a little bit back of the 1, 2, and 3 pack itself.
And Chris Wisman in that number 98 with a textbook pass around Haley Wilkinson. You couldn't ask for a better demonstration. If you ever want to show somebody how to pass another competitor on the racetrack, you just back this up and watch that again, because that was so well done. It was clean. It was, it was safe, and he got the position he needed. And Christopher Warren now trying to get caught up to the 22 of Jason Majors with 20 to go.
You know, and like you said, there was some issues early on in this race, but we've seen now at least about 8 laps or so of just really clean, good racing. You mentioned the pass of the 98 truck around the 35 of Haley Wilkinson, but it was just a really clean race, too, especially through this point. Really fun to see those trucks out there showing off their horsepower and going around and giving the fans out at Evergreen Speedway a great show. You
know, and one thing that, I know I encouraged you to do this several weeks ago, but if you get a chance, and please come on out to Evergreen Speedway. We've got a lot of room for you. But if you get a chance, try and you see the yellow line that's down there on the tarmac there, the front apron? Go down there and stand and just watch those guys come by. It's a whole incredible different perspective. And we'll talk more about that when we come back. This is Home Track Heroes from Evergreen Speedway here on CW11. We've got more. Stick around.